Bitcoin experienced a slight sell-off, but overnight we were definitely able to stabilize again and are now trading at $92,000. However, today at 4 p.m., the important data will be released, which in my opinion should also provide another significant impulse, especially for the Fed's interest rate decision next week. We'll definitely take a look at that, and with that, welcome to a new crypto update video. Yes, as I said, Bitcoin is at $92,000. Yesterday, there was a slight sell-off again in the evening after the stream, but that's completely normal because every time I stream on Thursdays, afterwards, things tend to go down a bit at first. Altcoins are still holding at a solid level. Ethereum is definitely performing better than Solana. Solana once again failed to break through the resistance. We'll definitely take a look at that. We'll go through everything in detail in this video today, so make sure to stick around until the end. But before we get started, as always, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, definitely join in. And you'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you want to support the channel, you can also create an account with BingX. So that's my partner, Exchange. At the moment, you can get up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses there. You can trade Forex, stocks, shares, and of course, crypto there. So these days, I do everything only there. Feel free to check it out. You'll also find the link for that below in the video description. All right, but now let's get right into it. So Bitcoin at $92,000. Once again, we didn't manage to break above our resistance area up here at around $94,000 to $95,000. So there's still a lot of liquidity sitting up there. If we look at the funding rates, yes, they've gone down slightly compared to yesterday. But that's also because with this little candle here, let me quickly remove the blue for a second. With this small red candle, another 100 million in longs have already been flushed out. And that's also the reason why I'm still somewhat convinced that we're heading down here towards 88,000, 89,000 US dollars, because we still have 50% of this one vector candle. I'll quickly draw it for you. This blue vector candle, I'd like to see 50% of that filled again, and that is exactly at 89,000 US dollars. If that's the case and the support holds, then we can definitely continue to climb upwards. And also our targets between 104 and 100 and reach 110,000 US dollars. Let's quickly take a look at High Block, that is our heat map. There we have the 95,000 US dollar mark, which currently offers the most liquidity, at least in the short term. If we zoom out further, we then see the next cluster forming at 100,000 and at 110,000 US dollars. To the downside, we still have a small one at 89,000 US dollars. That has just recently formed, meaning yesterday. And then another one at 84,000, 83,000 US dollars. That means the plan would basically work out if we just go down according to this heat map to 89 and then collect all the liquidity up here. And then with next week's interest rate decision, or a few days later with the Japanese interest rate decision, we could see this sell off to the downside. That would still be my preferred scenario at the moment. It just makes the most sense. What could bring us to 89,000 or 88,000 US dollars in the short term? 88,000 US dollars? These data are coming at 4 p.m. because that's when the PCA core rate comes out, or rather, yes, that's right. Price index, or rather, core rate is coming up for us, 2.9%. Unfortunately, these are old data, but it's still a crucial factor. Now, after, or rather, shortly before the Fed interest rate decision, if these data are above 3%, we have a fucking problem. Sorry for the language this morning, but then we really do have a problem. And even if this core rate is 0.2% higher than forecasted, we have a damn problem. A better way to put it. If we look at the Fed Watch tool, it's currently at 87%. We're updating it again right now. As it stands, it's still at 87%. So the labor market data from yesterday, which were also better than feared, even those didn't really bring it down. But you still have to put this a bit into perspective and say these 87% came about because of a speech by this Fed chairman Waller, who said, yes, the chances are pretty good that we'll cut rates. One person said that, but all right, it's an absolute shit show. There's really nothing more to say about it. Still, I remain steadfast. Until then, I'm staying bullish for now, even though, and we have to look over to Japan again, that's not normal anymore. So we updated this yesterday evening in the live stream, and the thing is, the Japanese 10-year government bonds have once again, in less than 12 hours, they've already risen by another 0.5%. So that means we're currently at 1.95%. And that's my big problem. Because by now I'm a bit concerned. The interest rate decision in Japan isn't for another 2 weeks. Exactly 2 weeks from today. And the thing is, within just 1 week, so during this whole week we've been watching it, it's simply climbed up by 3%. If this goes wrong, and by goes wrong, I mean something like a sudden emergency rate hike, well then good night. Keep an eye on that, and especially keep an eye on your positions. That's all for now about Bitcoin. So I'm still long. I took profit on the short yesterday, and now we're just waiting to see how the movement plays out. But down here in this area, that's still my primary scenario at the moment. Let's move over to Ethereum. Not much has really happened with Ethereum either. The trend is still intact. We're having a bit of trouble with the 200 SMA, but it's not really a big deal right now. So here too, I'd actually like to see another pullback. The problem is the pullback down here into the 2,915 area. In my opinion, that would be a bit too much if Bitcoin only drops to the 0.5 level, so about an 8% drop. I can't really imagine that happening with the altcoins right now. So that wouldn't really be the primary scenario I'd hope for either. That's why I'd prefer consolidation at this level and for the upward trend to continue, just to keep the feeling of an upcoming altcoin season a bit higher. And that's why I'm staying here as well. Long-term profits secured. I'm definitely not going short here. Every pullback is simply another chance to increase the long position a bit. Then Solana, same story again, not above $145. So the $145 for Solana, that's a disaster. We just couldn't get above it yesterday, and now there's another sell-off. You can already see here this small buy zone. It's there because we also have a vector candle here. That means this area here, 50% of this vector candle starts at 134.78 and goes down to 131.19. That would be another entry point for me. You know, my long position is closed. I might open a new long position in this price range. And you can already see Solana was actually one of the stronger altcoins, but it failed to break the resistance again, got rejected up here, was at the golden pocket, and then ended up losing the most again. Shall we take another look at Ethereum? There's really not much movement there. And then Solana dropped off much more sharply than, of course, Ethereum. For me, definitely here, a new long entry point. We still have 2 longs open, so you can nicely hedge a bit there as well. But honestly, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity down here either. Then we'll move on to the traditional markets later. By the way, there will be a separate video on XRP. Euro stable, US dollar, first stable, then gold. It's slowly but surely moving back into my sell zone. So I hope that this ABC configuration, which we've had in here for a while now, will definitely play out, at least in the next few days, so that I can still get my sell entry here, because I just suspect that, as I said, even if we do get the rate cut now, it will be the last one for the time being. Unless Powell surprises us all, of course, and another one comes. But even so, for now, I'm expecting further selling. And then this zone up here, the 0.786 level, is just predestined for it, because we still have this vector up here and this inefficiency. That's why, for now, I'm sticking with that. Silver is pumping again this morning. At the moment, I just can't find a proper short entry. The bull trend is absolutely intact for me. So the last time we didn't go short either, we just sold here. But otherwise, I would just keep my hands off shorts for now. Then the DAX is pumping upwards. Dow Jones is pumping upwards. Nasdaq is pumping upwards. And S&P 500 is pumping upwards. I said it at the beginning of the week, I suspect that we'll just keep rising for now, until in the end, Japan comes into play. So as long as the Fed rate decision and everything else is positive, or if the data this afternoon at 4 p.m. is really positive, the S&P 500 and all traditional markets can keep pushing upwards. At least until this Fed rate decision. After that, I could imagine a slight consolidation and a rollover. That means it's going to get very interesting now, depending on how we react to the news. If they're positive, okay, then go for it. Then keep pumping, keep inflating the system until the bubble or the small crash or the bigger correction really does come, in my opinion. Otherwise, the volatility index is completely down again. I saw a good statistic yesterday. There was also a question about the volatility index, specifically how you should use it. And where do we have it? Here, everything up to 28 for stocks. Below 16, or rather, below 18, take profits. And if it ever goes above 30, 40, 50, 60, buy everything aggressively. And for those who can remember, up here in this area, especially around 33 and 40, there are still a few vector candles lying around. Do what you will with that information, whatever you think, but that's the opportunity I might have been talking about, the one we could potentially take advantage of. Otherwise, last but not least, Circle is still running wonderfully. But for me, the next resistances are up here between 111 and 125. We really have to watch very, very closely how this plays out. Either we get a pullback with a higher low, then we can continue the upward trend, or we break this support again, and then it will go down another level. Just wanted to quickly remind you of that. Otherwise, stay safe. As I said, the important data comes out at 4 p.m. According to the Bitcoin heat map, we have room up to 88,000, and there should be support there at first so that the region can then be aggressively bought up, heading towards the Fed interest rate decision. Otherwise, that's it from me. As always, thank you for watching. As always, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, check out my partner exchange Spings. And otherwise, we'll hear from each other again later. So, on the one hand, there will be an XRP update video, and on the other hand, the Smart Crypto video will also be released later on their channel. That's it from me. I wish you a great day and, of course, a wonderful start to the weekend. Until then, ciao, ciao, and as always, stay crypto.